Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Surefire Titan Plus, their new compact pocket flashlight. It is a new version of the Titan flashlight that came out a little while ago. Maximum output is up to 300 lumens, which is pretty amazing for a little flashlight as small as this is. I'm going to talk about some of the features, included accessories, what I like, what I don't like, and kind of where I think the value falls on this flashlight. It is a single AAA flashlight, and it does come with a AAA battery pre-installed. There's actually one in here right now, but I have others, so I have one on here on the table just to kind of show you. This is an Eneloop Pro battery. I think these are some of the better nickel metal hydride rechargeable batteries that are out there, and this is a nickel metal hydride rechargeable battery. So the flashlight does come with a rechargeable battery, but keep in mind it does not actually come with a charger. What you see on the table here is everything that the flashlight includes. In fact, it only includes one battery, and it is pre-installed, though this one has one in it. So you don't get a charger, so it's a good idea to kind of keep in mind that if you get this flashlight, you're probably going to want to get a charger if you don't already have one, or if you're not planning on just using alkalines once the included battery dies. It does come pre-charged, so it is ready to use out of the box or out of the package. So when you get it, you can pop it open and start using it right away. You don't have to charge the battery, but once it dies, you can recharge it if you have a compatible charger. Like I said, I think those are pretty good batteries. Some of the better nickel metal hydride rechargeables out there. You can get a 4-pack with a charger for around $20 to $25. So they're pretty good batteries, and it's probably worth just picking up a set with a charger if you're going to get this flashlight, and especially if you have other uses for AAA batteries as well. So it does come with one pre-installed. It does have this clip on the back for connecting to a keychain. It's a little key ring. Now the original Titan had a key ring attachment on the back, but it was attached directly to the flashlight. The new Titan Plus, one of the changes is it comes with this extra little plastic clip, and the idea behind this is you could connect this to your key ring, and then the flashlight is connected to your key ring, and you could use it connected to your keys if you choose. But then if you wanted to use it without being on your keys, all you have to do is pop this off and you're ready to go. You can just use the flashlight not tethered to your keys, and when you're done, you can just snap it right back onto your keys. Now I do like this feature. It is pretty handy. I suppose if I was ever going to use it on my keys, this would be a nice feature that you could just pop it on and off the keys very easily. I did actually have to dig this out for the review though, because I have not used it since I got the flashlight. A couple of reasons for that. Primarily, I just don't use this clip to my keys. I don't generally tend to like having a bunch of extra stuff on my keys. My keys are a big enough chunk in my pocket as it is, so I don't typically like to clip other things to them. So that, and then also I've lost flashlights over the years, and this does connect very sturdy. I mean, to just pull it straight off is actually pretty difficult. So you kind of have to use a little bit of a prying motion, but it does stay pretty sturdily attached. I mean, it's not going to flop off real easy, but I mean, over the years it seems like anything that can happen will, and I'll lose a flashlight right out of my pocket sometimes. So to me, it just seems like that's something that for me and for my use might get lost, and since I don't really care to have stuff attached to my keys anyways, I don't go with that. But one thing you do have is underneath here you still have the standard loop for a key ring that the actual Titan came with. So if you wanted to, you could take this ring off, or even just attach this directly to your regular key ring, and then you could use it that way and it's never going to fall off. But then you just don't have the quick detach option. But like I said, I haven't used this mostly just because I don't clip it to my keys. But it is a nice little feature if you are going to use it clipped to your keys, so that you can pop it on and off. You don't always have to have it with you, but you can pop it on and off real easily, and you can take it off and use it separate from your keys if you chose. Another big difference between the Titan Plus and the original Titan is the pocket clip, and that was the big one for me because, like I said, I'm not going to use this on my keys just because I don't typically like to clip things to my keys. So the pocket clip was the big selling point for me. Now I can just clip this right into a pocket, and it works great for me. I've been carrying this with me most of the time since I got it. If I'm not working, I typically have this with me. When I'm working, I use a different flashlight, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. This does have a very wide beam pattern. The The beam is designed to kind of fill your field of vision. So if you're kind of holding the flashlight right out in front of you or right at your side, the beam is designed to spread out and encompass your entire field of vision. It's nice because if it is dark and you have dark adapted vision, you don't need a ton of light to be able to see pretty well. But it's nice if you have a flashlight with a very focused beam that projects a beam right in front of you, you can see what's in that beam really well, but you find you end up having to sweep it back and forth to be able to see everything. This flashlight is going to make a very, very wide beam that fills your full field of view. Now, because of that, it may not immediately seem quite as bright as some other flashlights because the intensity of the beam can tend to be a bit lower in first glance than some other small flashlights. And that's mostly because the beam is not as focused. You don't get one very bright spot of light that strikes you as being very bright, but what you actually get is a very wide spread. And I have a couple of other flashlights on the table here that I'll kind of talk about and also demonstrate a little bit of that difference. So, and actually, well, now that I zoomed out, if you look, you can actually see the reflector in there. It has that kind of wavy pattern to it. And what that does is it helps create a more even beam, but it also helps to really throw that light into a flood so that you get a very wide beam pattern. This does have 3 modes of operation as opposed to the original Titan's 2 modes. So you're going to have a low of 15, and instead of having a high of 125 like the original Titan, you have a medium of 75 lumens, and you now have a high of 300 lumens. Something to keep in mind, if you need a flashlight with 300 lumens and you need a flashlight with 300 lumens a lot of the time, this probably isn't going to be for you. This will, I believe that it will provide 300 lumens with a good battery, but keep in mind you're limited to a AAA. A AAA battery does not have a lot of power, does not have a lot of capacity, so you're going to be pretty limited in the amount of time that you're going to be able to have 300 lumen output for. So whereas it's great that it provides that ability to give you a 300 lumen when you need it, or if you need it, or if you want to show off to your friends, that's great, but you're not going to just have it running on 300 lumens for hours and no problem. It's going to kill a battery pretty fast. So it's going to be like most pocket flashlights in that, modest but very usable, very good light that will get you through just about anything you need it to. But the difference being that you do, if you choose to, have that ability to go to 300 lumens. The build quality, fit and finish of this flashlight is excellent. Another way that it varies from some of the other compact flashlights, it is actually a nickel-plated brass construction, whereas I think most flashlights like this are going to typically be aluminum. Now, that does make it adds weight. It's going to make it be a little bit heavier than the average flashlight, especially for its size, but it gives it a very nice appearance. It's very solid in the hand. It feels very good, feels like high quality. The look, the fit, finish, the feel, the quality, the build is very excellent to me. I find that it's a very well put together flashlight. It feels probably higher quality even than some of the other Surefire lights that I've had over the years. Not that any Surefire feels like junk, but I think this one it really just feels like quality when you're using it. If you were going to use this exclusively as a keychain light, I think you would have to really ask yourself a hard question of whether or not you really need that 300 lumens. And if not, I think you'd probably be better off with the original Titan. The reason being, this is a tiny bit heavier. So, and if you don't need the pocket clip, this is a tiny bit heavier. It is a tiny bit longer. Now, the original Titan ends somewhere around here. This one has that extra cap or that extra end to allow for not only the pocket clip installation, but also this accessory attachment. Now, the accessory attachment is pretty nice if you're going to be using it as a key ring. And maybe that'll make your decision. Even if you're going to be using it as a key ring, you really need this versus the original Titan. The original Titan is going to be a tiny bit smaller, tiny bit lighter. So again, I guess maybe I'm just biased by the fact that I don't like big heavy things hanging off my keys. Not that this is big or heavy, but just the fact that the original Titan is that much smaller and that much lighter if I was going to be forced to hang one off of my keys all the time, I'd probably go with the original Titan. You can decide if that's worth it to you. The pocket clip, though, definitely makes this a buy over the Titan for me, barring anything else, even just because I'm not going to have it on my keys. I'm going to clip this to my pocket. The original Titan also comes with a Surefire brand battery, rechargeable, and I feel that this is actually a better quality battery. I think it's a little more powerful, it's a little bit higher capacity, and I prefer this. There was talk with the original Titan, I've seen talk on forums and a couple other places, that certain brands, certain types of batteries that may be just a hair bigger diameter than the included battery would actually get stuck in the barrel of the flashlight, to where it was just a little bit snug and would get stuck in there. I haven't found that with the Titan Plus with any battery I've tried. I've used the Eneloop Pro, I've used a standard Eneloop battery, and many various brands of alkalines, and I've had no issue. They all, and by the way, the battery does go in the front, the bezel screws off, and that's where your battery's installed. But I haven't had any battery that didn't slide in and out just as easily as that. Now you do have 3 modes of operation, and the way it works is you just simply tighten the cap, or tighten the bezel. It's going to come on at low initially, then you just turn it off and back on to get medium, and off and back on again. Oop, and I went right past it. That's medium, and then that's high. So 3 modes of operation. Starts with low, off and back on is medium, off and back on is high. And now I'm actually holding this fairly close to the table. I mean, just a few inches of the table, and it's lighting up the whole table. So you'll see the comparison when I check that other flashlight. So you'll see just how much wider the beam is with this flashlight than with others. Now the rating on this is 1 hour in high, 2 hours in medium, and 7 hours in low. But if you actually look at the specs, what they say is, if you put it into high, it'll run for 1 hour before it drops a certain percentage below full output. So you're not going to have that 300 lumens for the full hour. And I would bet that you would get more like 10 to 20 minutes of the 300 lumen output. So it's great because, it's there when you need it. So, if you're just, again, needing to walk to your car or something like that, just real fast, just the low and the medium are going to give you plenty of light for most things. But to have that 300 lumens available if you need it, it is nice. But again, if you're buying a flashlight because you need that all the time, it's really not going to be it, because you're not going to have that 300 for very long. Like I said, my guess is within 10 to 20 minutes, it's going to drop down to medium. The battery voltage is going to get low enough that it's going to drop out of high mode and go down to medium. And then probably after another, half hour, 40 minutes, it's going to drop out of medium to low. And then that's going to be that cutoff of an hour. Just something to keep in mind, that you have to be realistic about the battery life and what you expect out of such a tiny flashlight that uses a AAA. So I mean, again, I think they're probably not lying when they say 300 lumens. It's a very, very bright flashlight that, with as wide a beam pattern as it has, just puts out just a ton of light in high mode. But just, you have to be realistic in your expectations. You're not going to throw a AAA battery in here, turn it to 300 lumens, and have 300 lumen output for an hour. Another thing I did notice is that the bezel does heat up a little bit in high. Not excessive. I mean, it doesn't get hot, doesn't get uncomfortable, but it is noticeable. You will notice that the front does heat up just a bit when it's in high. So just to kind of go over again what I like about it, I do like the pocket clip. I do like the just very, very high brightness, the high level of light output that you can get with it. I like the look, I like the feel. I think the nickel-plated brass gives it a look that's a little bit different than what most things offer. I mean, even an aluminum flashlight that comes in silver, it's not quite this color. This has, it's a nickel finish, so it has a little bit of a unique look. I think it's a good-looking flashlight. I think it has a very upscale feel, upscale look. It definitely feels like high quality. It feels, sturdy and solid. Very good build quality. I like that it comes with a high quality battery. You don't get a charger, but I do like that the battery that it comes with is pretty good quality. It's a a good quality rechargeable battery. As far as downsides, like I said, you have to be realistic about the battery life. It is a little bit pricey for a compact flashlight. Retails $100. I got this one a little bit cheaper, directly from Surefire. Actually, I think I got it for about $85 on sale. It's a little bit pricey, and versus the original Titan, just a little bit larger and heavier. But I think that's worth the trade-off for me, since I'm going to be wearing it in the pocket. I love the pocket clip. I like the increased brightness, and I love the look, the feel, the build quality. Now, in comparison to some other options that are out there, I have on the table another flashlight. It is the LED Lenser P2, and that is a compact single AAA flashlight that I've been using at work for quite a long time, and you can see it's dinged up, it's banged up, it's been used and abused, and it does keep going, and it works pretty well. And in comparison to the Surefire, this flashlight is around $20, I believe. It could be a little more, could be a little less, depending on where you find it, but I believe it's around $20. The lumen output, I believe, is rated at about 13 lumens, and a similar battery life to what the Surefire Titan Plus is in low. It's around, I think, 7 to 9 hours is the rating. You can actually see that it is larger, just a little bit longer than the Titan Plus. Diameter is very similar, but it is actually just, I would have to say, just a hair larger diameter. I don't know if you can tell that in the video, but just a hair, but not significantly larger diameter, but it is a little bit shorter, which makes it nice in a pocket. This is a bit heavier. The Titan Plus is noticeably heavier, not a lot heavier, but you can tell when you hold them both. This is just a hair heavier. And again, I think that's going to be due to the brass construction versus aluminum. The LED Lenser also has a much more of a spot beam, and I can kind of show you that on the table here. You see that spot. It's really not lighting up any of the table except for that little spot in the middle. Now, the light isn't quite that blue as what it looks in the video. I think this cloth I have on the table makes it look a little bit more blue than it is. But the Surefire does have a little bit whiter of a light. You can see it's a little whiter. And now in low, it might be hard to tell, but it doesn't seem like it's as bright in low, but the Surefire is actually lighting up most of the table here. If I bring it in until the beams get a similar size, you can tell it's about the same brightness. But then again, this is on low. So the Surefire also has a medium and high, and now you can see that we're just, we're completely eclipsing the LED Lenser. So as far as brightness is concerned, obviously the Surefire takes it hands down. I like the look and feel of the Titan a lot better, or the Titan Plus. I think it has a lot more of a high quality look and feel. Feels a little bit more solid, feels a little bit better built. Having said that, like I said, this has been through quite a lot, and it does still work okay. So, I don't think really the build quality of this lacks in any way. It just doesn't maybe have quite as high end of a feel to it, which does make sense because the price level of this is quite a bit lower. It does come with a ring to hang on your keys, and a pocket clip, so that's very nice. I like that the pocket clip can carry very deep. And it is a little bit lighter, but as far as using it for a keychain light, I think this just gets to be a bit too large. Again, I don't even want to have something the size of the Titan Plus on my keys, so I'm a little bit biased as that, but you can see it is longer, so it is a bit larger, something to have hanging from your keys. But I still typically will use this at work. I don't carry the Titan Plus with me at work. I carry this. Part of that is because there's a pretty high chance of breaking, losing, or just, in one way not coming home with this. And I would much rather not come home with a $20 flashlight than with my Titan Plus. And now again, this doesn't have the capabilities of the Titan Plus as far as that medium and high modes, but at work I typically have a lot of other lighting options with me in my van, such as this E2D LED light that I have on the table here. But actually typically I'll have a larger flashlight, maybe something depowered, maybe something like a headlamp that I can strap on. So I have a lot of different things, a lot of different options when I'm at work. So just having the extra capability that the Titan isn't a big priority. So I don't typically carry it with me at work. But if I'm not working and I'm going out, I'm usually taking this because I like to always have a flashlight with me. This one in low and medium will do everything I'll typically need, and then it is nice to have that little bit of extra oomph behind the light if you need it. And also at work, I think a spot pattern is fine. Does everything I need it to. But again, I think this, for a typical everyday carry type of use, I think the Titan Plus beam is great. But again, it's not going to seem quite as bright as another flashlight, and that's one of the reasons I have my E2D, my LED Defender here, Surefire flashlight. This is the original, so this is not the Ultra. This is the, I believe, 200 lumen version, whereas the Ultra I think is something like 500, something nutty like that. But the reason why I have this here is because technically this should be actually a little bit lower light output than the Titan Plus. But if you shine it on the table, you'll see it's very much of a spot pattern. I mean, you do get some residual light around the table, but it's most of the light is concentrated in that spot. Whereas with the Titan Plus, it's lighting up the whole table, even though I'm actually closer to the table than I am with the LED Defender. Now, if I bring the Defender way back behind the table, and so that the spot is taking up most of the table, you can see that they actually are pretty close. But by the same token, if I bring this in to where the spot is about the same size, you can see it is extremely bright. I mean, there's a lot of light coming out of this Titan Plus. So, not exactly a scientific test, but it might give you some idea of just what you're getting out of this Titan Plus. And at the end here, I'll do some outdoor beam shots just to kind of give you an idea of, just the how wide of a beam you do get out of this and just how much light you are getting out of it. So, like I said, it's a great little flashlight, some great features, a very good flashlight just for kind of everyday carry, just to kind of have on you. Works great on the keychain, although just like I said, for my personal opinion, it's not something I would do, but it does have some unique features in terms of that, as far as the removable clip and dual keyring options, one on the clip and one on the flashlight itself. And like I said, it doesn't actually come off of there all that easy, so I probably wouldn't lose it. But if I wanted to carry it on my keyring, I wouldn't be too worried about using this. But since I don't anyways, then I just don't bother. So that's I guess the end of the tabletop portion. At the end here, like I said, I'll throw in some beam shots, and I hope some of this is helpful to you. Alright, so now I'm outside. I have kind of a typical scenario set up that you might use these flashlights for. I know it's dark here. It'll get bright in a second, I promise. I'm at a park. My vehicle is maybe just barely visible there. I have the camera set to a fixed exposure, so it's not going to automatically try and adjust brightness to match the brightness of the flashlights. That way you can hopefully get a good idea of the difference in the brightness without the camera automatically trying to compensate, and ended up making them both look pretty much the same. So I'm going to start with the LED Lenser P2 here, and this isn't really meant to be like an exhaustive comparison of the two, or even a review of the LED Lenser, but it's just an example of what you can get with a similar size compact AAA flashlight, that has a spot beam and a lot lower output. So here we are. We're in a park. We stayed out a little bit longer than we thought we were gonna, and darkness fell before we got back to our car. So now we need to shed a little light on the situation. Luckily, we have our pocket flashlight with us, right? So now I'm going to turn on the LED Lenser, and you can see a pretty decent spot. And there's my Jeep, and we get a spot of light on the concrete, and we can kind of pan around to see everything. You can't even really see the whole Jeep at once. So this is what I'm talking about with a spot. It seems like a pretty intense beam in one spot, but you're only getting that one spot. And of course, with only one output setting, this is what you're stuck with, is low. So not bad, but it would definitely, like I said, it's very usable light. It'll get you to your vehicle. and it'll do the job. But imagine that. Okay, well, wait, what is that off in the woods? I heard a little something. Is that a furry friend just kind of frolicking in the darkness, or is that something not so friendly? Maybe furry, maybe not. Who knows? Because we can't see pretty much past the vehicle there. That's the woods. There is probably only an extra 10 or 20 feet past the Jeep, and I can't even see that at all with this light. So good light, but not, it's pretty limited. So now we'll switch to the Surefire Titan Plus, and we'll start out on low. And you can see the beam doesn't seem quite as intense on low as it does with the other one, but you can see it's a much wider light. It's lighting up pretty much everything I can see of the parking lot in the camera. So, I mean, we're getting a little bit of light all around. I can see the whole Jeep. I can see the parking lot around. I can get just a really good view without having to pan the flashlight all around of what's going on just in one shot. And that is, like I said, one of the things that's really nice about the wider beam that you get around that having to just one little intense spot of light. And again, that's only low. We can step it up to medium here, and now you can really see the difference that extra light output's given us. Now we got the whole Jeep really well lit. We can actually start to see some of the woods over there. The parking lot all the way around the Jeep is well lit, just putting out quite a lot of light. And then we can go to high. If I can get it, there we go. And now we got high. Now we got the Jeep, we got some of the woods. If we point over to the woods, we got really good illumination of the woods back there. If there was something sneaking at us up out of the woods there, we'd be able to see it just fine. Excellent illumination of the parking lot. I mean, very, very good light. And just a quick story there. It might seem silly to talk about something sneaking up on you out of the woods there, and I don't really expect anything dangerous to be coming at us out of the woods, but there was a time when I was late at night, sitting out in the pitch darkness with my telescope, looking up at the sky for a long time, and I heard very obvious signs that something was truly walking out of the woods and towards me. Something was coming out of the woods and walking directly towards me. Now, luckily, I had at hand my Surefire LED Defender in my pocket so that I was able to shine that and see what it was. Now, again, I'll go ahead and switch to that just so you can kind of see the difference between the spot beam that puts out versus the flood beam that we just had from the Titan Plus. So that's my E2D Defender, and I was able to shine it right over at the woods where I could hear the noise, and sure enough, 2 deer were coming strolling out of the woods and walking straight towards me. And once the beam of my flashlight hit them, they just kind of looked up inquisitively, but they just kept walking straight towards me. And it wasn't until they were about 10 feet away that they suddenly realized I was standing there, and they turned around and took off. So, but anyways, just kind of a somewhat of a realistic scenario that what that extra 300 lumens could be good for. You turn it on to low, you got enough light, you're walking to your vehicle, no problem. You're not going to trip over anything. You can see what you're doing. You can get your keys in the ignition. But then, if you hear something or you see something and you just want a little bit extra light, that's the Surefire Titan Plus again right there. And you just get a ton of light out of this little flashlight if you need it. And like I said, it's not going to be the kind of thing where, if you want 300 lumens forever, this is the flashlight for you, because it's not going to last a super long time. But as you can see here, it's available if you need it. It is just a ton of light, and it can work great in a situation like this when you need it. So those are the beam shots. I hope they were interesting. Hope they were maybe helpful. Just let me know what you think in the comments, or if you have any questions. And I appreciate you watching, and take care.